Hello, and welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today's story is one the world wasn't supposed to see. Something disappeared quietly, almost overnight, from Harry and Meghan's royal foundation. No press release, no public statement, not even a whisper from the couple who built their global brand on transparency and compassion. One day, the parents' network, their most emotional and heartfelt charity project, was right there on Archewell's website. Then, suddenly, gone, and along with it, staggering $3.5 million in donations that no one seems able to trace. So what really happened to the money? Why did the project vanish without warning? And is this the biggest royal charity scandal the Sussexes have faced yet? Let's uncover the truth. Because behind the perfect Instagram smiles and royal speeches lies a story of silence, betrayal, and a trail of missing millions. When the Parents Network launched under the Archewell Foundation, it was presented as Harry and Meghan's passion project, a heartfelt mission to support families who lost their children to the dangers. It was emotional, it was raw, and it was deeply personal. Millions of parents across the world connected with it instantly. Donations poured in. The headlines praised their initiative. For once, it felt like the couple had moved past royal drama and were finally focusing on something real. But then, months later, the project started to go quiet. No new updates. No public reports, no visible programs or aid distribution. And then, one day, poof. The entire Parents Network page vanished from Archewell's website as if it had never existed. No farewell announcement. For a foundation that promised to set a new standard for transparency, the silence was deafening. Here's where it gets even stranger. According to insiders, $3.5 million had been raised for the Parents Network, funds meant to directly help grieving families, sponsor online safety programs, and support mental health awareness. But when independent investigators and reporters went looking for Archewell's 2023 and 2024 financial filings, they found nothing. No records. No public tax documents. No trace of where that money actually went. And that's a problem because, by U.S. law, every registered charitable foundation must file public documents with the IRS detailing how donations are spent. Yet for those years, Archewell's filings weren't pending or delayed. They were just missing, even more suspicious. The mainstream media didn't question it. No journalist demanded answers. Not a single royal correspondent brought it up, almost as if someone wanted this entire story buried. Behind closed doors, however, frustration was boiling. Sources close to the project described a chaotic environment, endless photo ops, constant PR planning, but very little actual groundwork. According to one insider, they loved the cameras, not the causes. Meetings were skipped. Promises were delayed. Emails went unanswered. Parents who had joined the initiative, real mothers and fathers who'd lost their children, said they waited weeks, then months, for updates that never came. One grieving mother said, "We believed they cared. But after the cameras left, so did they." Another insider claimed that the Sussexes only reached out to families when there was a major interview or press event coming up, asking them to share emotional stories for publicity, not support. In other words, the very people they promised to help were being used for optics. And then came the breaking point. Months after the parents' network went silent, Meghan Markle appeared in Paris, seated front row at a Balenciaga fashion show. Yes, that same brand that had recently faced massive backlash over a disturbing ad campaign involving children. For the families connected to the parents' network, that moment hit like a knife. The woman who had promised to defend children's dignity was now smiling in the front row of a brand accused of exploiting them. To them, it wasn't fashion, it was betrayal. Some parents reportedly reached out to Archewell demanding answers. Others simply walked away, refusing to be part of a cause that no longer had a soul. And here's where it gets worse. Reports suggest Meghan hadn't even been invited by the brand. She had allegedly arranged her own appearance just to stay in the media spotlight. A PR stunt that backfired spectacularly, transforming what could have been a style moment into a symbol of hypocrisy. Soon after, during a speech in New York, Prince Harry made a brief and almost unnoticed announcement, saying that the parents' network would be merging with another group called Parents Together. It sounded like good news, a collaboration, a way to keep the mission alive. But behind the scenes, sources told a very different story. This wasn't a merger, it was a handover. No equal partnership. It was Archewell quietly walking away and handing control to someone else. According to insiders, this decision didn't come from Harry or Meghan. It came from donors who had begun questioning where their money had gone. There were whispers that the foundation had been pressured to remove the Sussexes from the project entirely. As one insider put it, it wasn't a merger. It was an extraction. Even on stage that day, people noticed the tension. Harry's voice sounded subdued. Meghan's smile looked forced. They weren't celebrating a success, they were burying a failure. But this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Years before, Archewell, Harry co-founded another charity, Centobel, a project in Lesotho designed to help vulnerable children. It began with royal glamour and genuine purpose. But later, it too faced scrutiny. There were reports of poor management, bullying allegations, and missing funds that couldn't be fully accounted for. The UK Charity Commission eventually investigated. Officially, they found no misconduct, but quietly admitted that the charity's records were incomplete. Sound familiar? Big promises, emotional speeches, flashy press launches. Then confusion, silence, and the slow fade out. It's almost a pattern now. And this time, the stakes were even higher because Archewell wasn't just a charity. It was the Sussexes' entire brand. Inside Archewell, multiple former team members described what they called organized chaos. Projects were announced before any actual planning was done. Public statements went out faster than staff could build real programs. The foundation reportedly had more PR managers than project coordinators, more people working on the image than the impact. One employee even said Archewell felt like a media company pretending to be a charity, and it shows. Their Spotify partnership canceled, Archewell Audio shelved, their Netflix projects struggling for relevance. From the outside, the brand still looks polished. The designer outfits, the glamorous events, the polished interviews. But inside, it's just noise. Spinning wheels without direction. And in that chaos, the parent network quietly died. By the time the merger was finalized, the Sussexes' involvement was already over. Sources say parents together stepped in to protect the cause, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Donors wanted distance. Parents wanted answers. And Archewell wanted silence. Behind the polite PR language, merging for a stronger future, was the truth. Harry and Meghan were being removed to save the charity's reputation. Those who attended the event said you could feel it. Harry's eyes were downcast. Meghan's laughter was forced. It wasn't confidence, it was resignation. By the time they left the stage, the parents' network was no longer theirs. And neither was the narrative. So, where does that leave us? With a vanished project, a missing $3.5 million, and a royal couple whose silence says more than any press release ever could. They built Archewell to prove they didn't need the royal family to make a difference, that they could stand on their own and change the world. But in the end, their foundation became exactly what they claimed to escape. A glossy machine built on image, not integrity. The parents' network was supposed to heal broken hearts. Instead, it became another reminder that good intentions mean nothing without action, and that compassion without accountability is just branding. The money remains unaccounted for. The parents remain unheard. And Archewell, once filled with promise, now stands as a monument to something far sadder. What happens when purpose turns into publicity? Maybe that's the real tragedy here. Not the vanished millions, but the vanished trust. Because, for Harry and Meghan, two people who once vowed to be different, the silence has never been louder. And that's today's deep dive. Was it bad management or something more deliberate? Drop your thoughts below, and if you found this investigation eye-opening, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more truth behind the royals. Because here, we don't just tell the headlines.